The best NBA teams to never win a championship in the 1990s. The 1990s is arguably the best era in NBA history, with players like Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, and many more. It was just after the Magic and Bird rivalry, and new rivalries were starting to show. Rivalries were a huge part of the 90s, but the most influential part of the 90s, and the reason why many say it's the greatest era of all time, is because of one reason: Michael Jordan. You're gonna see that most of the teams on this list literally don't win a championship because of Michael Jordan. And so, let's start. Here are the best NBA teams to never win a championship in the 1990s. Number 1, the 1996 Seattle Supersonics. They finished with a record of 64-18 and were eliminated in the NBA Finals to the Chicago Bulls. The Gary Payton and Shawn Kemp Seattle Supersonics teams were a threat to win in the West every year in the mid-90s. And when they finally got through to the 1996 NBA Finals, the Supersonics were led by Shawn Kemp and Defensive Player of the Year, Gary Payton, probably the greatest defensive point guard of all time. They were one of the league's most dominant duos, but ran into Michael Jordan and the Bulls in MJ's first full year back from retirement. Seattle would fall behind 3-0, but Shawn Kemp had 2 incredible games in games 4 and 5, forcing the Bulls to win in 6 games. It looked like the start of a Sonics dynasty, similar to OKC in 2012, but they never got back to the NBA Finals. Pretty tragic. And with Shawn Kemp and Gary Payton, this was an amazing duo, but this was the only finals that they were ever able to go in, and unfortunately for them, they had to face up against the Chicago Bulls. Number 2. The 1992 Portland Trail Blazers. They finished with a record of 57-25 and were eliminated in the NBA Finals and lost to the Chicago Bulls. The 1990s, as we all know, was pretty much the era of the Bulls and pretty much the era of Michael Jordan. The Blazers had the best team in the Western Conference, led by Hall of Famer Clyde Drexler, and cruised into the NBA Finals without really being tested. Sort of like the Cleveland Cavaliers this year with LeBron. Not a team that was really tested up until the NBA Finals. When the Trailblazers finally made it, they met the Chicago Bulls. And Drexler went toe-to-toe with Jordan through the first 4 games, and the series was actually tied 2-2. It was just MJ versus Clyde in 1992. However, Drexler's play dropped off drastically in the last 2 games of the series, and the Bulls went on to win their second championship in 6 games. Now, at this point, Clyde Drexler was really good. He was competing with Jordan for the first 4 games, but unfortunately, he was just too tired or something. I'm not sure. Maybe he was dealing with injuries, but his play just dropped off, and Chicago went on to win another NBA championship. Number 3, the 1994 New York Knicks. They finished with a record of 57-25 and were eliminated in the NBA Finals, but this time to the Houston Rockets. The Eastern Conference and the entire NBA was pretty much open in the 1994 season, with Michael Jordan out of the league and retiring for the first time. He left the Bulls to obviously play baseball, and that didn't really turn out well for him, but it looked like the Knicks finally had a window of opportunity to get to the NBA Finals. They were led by Hall of Famer Patrick Ewing. He was a tough and physical man, and he led a tough physical squad coached by Pat Riley to the NBA Finals. He managed to squeak past the Indiana Pacers in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Then they faced up against the Houston Rockets. The series went all the way to Game 7, Patrick Ewing versus Hakeem Olajuwon. But Hakeem's monster performance, 25 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, proved to be the difference in a 6-point win, and it was the Houston win. Now, the Knicks would make the finals again in 1999, but they would lose to the San Antonio Spurs in what started the Spurs' current run of dominance, which hasn't really slowed down, even to this day. Number 4, the 1998 Indiana Pacers. They finished with a record of 58-24, and they were actually eliminated in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Chicago Bulls. This was Indiana's best team of the 1990s. Well, in my opinion. Adding sharpshooter Chris Mullin to their core of Reggie Miller, Mark Jackson, Rick Smits, and Larry Bird was now coaching this team, and he led them to the East's second best record while winning Coach of the Year. So with 4 key guys on that team, and now the Coach of the Year in Larry Bird, who knew what it took to win an NBA championship, and not to mention he knew how to shoot the rock with Chris Mullin and Reggie Miller on that team, the Pacers were looking to do very well that season. The Pacers were a veteran team, but still worked together very nicely. Unfortunately, they ran into the last installment of MJ's Bulls, but the Pacers gave them as good of a fight as anyone. The home team would win every game in that series, with Indiana ultimately falling to the Chicago Bulls in Game 7 by 5 points. And unfortunately, Reggie Miller was never able to take a ring, and it was an era of Michael Jordan. And Reggie Miller versus Michael Jordan, if we want to talk about rivalries, they had some great ones. Anyway, let's get on to number 5. Number 5, the 1995 Orlando Magic. They finished with a record of 57-25 and were eliminated in the NBA Finals to the Houston Rockets. Orlando was led by a dominant young big man named Shaquille O'Neal. Not too sure if you've heard of him. And they were also led by a young point guard named Penny Hardaway, both of whom wreaked havoc on the league in the mid-90s. Unfortunately for them, Penny struggled with injuries for pretty much his entire career, and as a result, Shaq left to join the Los Angeles Lakers, and as we all know, he did pretty well there. He won a few championships with Kobe, and unfortunately, they could have won more if it wasn't for the beef they have. But anyway, in the 1995 season with the Orlando Magic, it was what could have been. If only Penny and Shaq would have stuck together, or if only Penny just didn't have injuries. In 1995, they had posted the second best home record in NBA history, 39-2. And in fact, they are the only team on this list to actually beat a Michael Jordan-led Bulls team in the playoffs. They beat them in the Eastern Conference semifinals in the year that MJ came back from retirement. They met the defending champion Houston Rockets in the NBA Finals, who they proved to be no match for Hakeem Olajuwon, who was able to limit Shaq, and the Rockets would end up sweeping the series. Many of the media were hoping that it would be like a Wilt vs Bill Russell matchup, but really Hakeem was just too good in that series, and he was able to limit Shaq, and the Rockets would end up sweeping the series. Number 6, the 1993 Phoenix Suns. They finished with a record of 62-20, and they were eliminated in the NBA Finals, and guess who they lost to? The Chicago Bulls. On the 17th of June 1992, the Suns traded former All-Star Jeff Hornacek, Tim Perry, and Andrew Lang to the Philadelphia 76ers for All-Star forward Charles Barkley. Barkley would play 4 seasons with the Suns before being traded to the Houston Rockets in 1996. On the other hand, Hornacek would play less than 2 seasons with the 76ers, Perry would play less than 4, and Lang only played 1. Many consider this trade to be the best Suns trade in history. So, during the 1993 season, Charles Barkley was convinced that he was the best player on the planet. Averaging 25.6 points per game and 12 rebounds in his first year in Phoenix, he also managed to take home the MVP. He led the Suns to a 62-win season, and they were easily the best team in the Western Conference, but they ran into Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls. Of course, like most teams on this list, the Bulls were looking for their first three-peat. Barkley averaged 27 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists a game in the NBA Finals. Staggering numbers. The Suns, riding along Barkley's back, managed to win 2 of the 3 games played in Chicago, but the Bulls swept the 3 games played in Phoenix as they won the series in 6 games. Unfortunately for Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan was just in his way. And that's a little bit like the next team that we're going to go to. Number 7, the 1998 Utah Jazz. They finished with a record of 62-20, and they were eliminated in the NBA Finals. Guess who they lost to? The Chicago Bulls. The Jazz were the best team in a loaded Western Conference, winning 62 games behind the duo of Karl Malone and John Stockton. John Stockton and Karl Malone were easily one of the greatest duos in NBA history, but they were never able to win a championship. Let's see what happened in 1998. In the first round of the playoffs, the Jazz would trail 2 games to 1 to the 8th-seeded Houston Rockets. However, with John Stockton and Karl Malone on that team, they would easily win the series, and they won it in 5 games. In the semi-finals, they would defeat the San Antonio Spurs in 5 games as well, and after that, the Jazz would actually sweep the Los Angeles Lakers in the Western Conference Finals in obviously 4 straight games, to advance to the NBA Finals for the 2nd consecutive year. So that meant the year before the Jazz were in the NBA Finals, and guess who they lost to? The Chicago Bulls. And so in back-to-back years, they would face up against Michael Jordan's Bulls, and after losing the NBA Finals to the Bulls the previous season, many thought that this would be the year where the Utah Jazz would finally unseat the Chicago Bulls at the top of the NBA. Every game was actually competitive. Unfortunately, the ending of Game 6 will live on forever in NBA history. As you saw, most of these teams couldn't win a championship, and the main reason was because of Michael Jordan. That's why I truly believe that Hakeem took the most of his chances when he could, as he gained 2 rings during the 90s, which was more than very hard. If only other teams had taken their chances the way that Hakeem and his Rockets did. Anyway, those are just a few of the teams that I thought of. If you guys have any franchises that you think have had great teams in the 1990s but were never able to win a championship, comment them down below. If you're new around here, I make a whole bunch of NBA videos, what ifs, as well as other 2K content, so be sure to subscribe for more. And for those that have recently subscribed to my channel, I hope you guys are enjoying the content. I'm having a lot of fun making all these videos for you guys, so yeah, it's good. So I really appreciate it if you guys just drop a like on this video. If we can reach 3,000 likes, I'll start preparing the next video for you guys, and I think you guys can reach 3,000 likes. You guys have been going ham in all the other videos, so yeah, I really appreciate it. And yeah, comment down below if you guys want to see another era of basketball. I've already done the 2000s era, so if you guys would like to see that video, I'll put a link in the description and in the comment section. But like I said, if you guys have any other eras you want to see, comment them down below. It will be kind of hard getting footage for some of the older eras, but I'll try my best. I can always use 2K footage as well, and that's something I want to talk to you guys about as well. If you guys mind me using 2K footage, or do you guys like the NBA footage? The only thing is, I'm scared if I use NBA footage like I have been using, the actual NBA will flag my videos and I'll get copyright, then I won't have a channel. So I'm kind of scared about that, but I'm doing it anyway. Hopefully it works. I've seen other YouTubers kind of do similar things where they use actual NBA footage, so they haven't been brought down yet. So I guess we'll see what happens. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy the video. Subscribe, leave a like. I'm out. Peace.